Hello, it's me, Britton Picarsi, and welcome to Film Level Corner. As you can see, I got my very special guest, Kinsley the Mail Dog. Yes, she is my Darcy the Mail Girl. And this is a very special episode of Film Level Corner. As you can see, I still don't have Lone Star. That's the beard that Joe Bob Briggs uses. Okay, Kinsley, no kissies. We're on film right now. Anyways, I am doing another tribute to The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. Joe Bob Briggs, for those who don't know, he's a drive-in film critic. He's a movie host. He hosts movies. He hosts The Last Drive-In when we watch horror movies, and he talks about it. So last summer, I did a special episode where I hosted two movies and I did it on the format of Joe Bob the Last Drive-In. And the two movies I picked were two horror movies. I had a big projector outside on my screen, and we had beer, pizza, and I picked two movies. And the two movies were Sharknado 2 and Cheerleader Camp. And what I did was, I filmed myself doing it the Joe Bob way when I talk about the drive-in totals, talk about what's going to be in the movie. Then at various times I would interrupt the movie, and I would briefly talk about the movie like Joe Bob does. And my family had a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of fun with it, and I designed it to put it on YouTube. But you ever heard of like on-air pirates of TV shows? Where sometimes they're filmed, but they never get on air. Well, that's what happened with that YouTube video. I'm editing it, but editing can be a monster. Editing can be very, very stressful. And I just tip my hat to all the editors out there. Editing is a very important skill. It's very important when it comes to cinema and comes to filmmaking. So yeah, I just tip my hat off to editing. It's stressful. I agree with Alfred Hitchcock, famous director. He loved his blondes, he loved his wine, but he also talks about how he didn't really enjoy editing. He likes shooting, he likes writing, he likes doing all the hands-on stuff. And editing is hands-on stuff, but for me, it's really stressful. But today we you see the Halloween decorations. So that's because the two movies I pick are Halloween themed. But you also see Disney decorations, a sign from the Haunted Mansion and Mickey Mouse decorations. That's because we're talking about two Disney horror Halloween themed movies. But we're not done yet. We're also talking about gateway horror, those kind of movies that you can show to a young audience or people who aren't into hardcore horror. I just I love these gateway horrors. It's a good tease of what's to come when you get older, so you can watch horror movies. But anyways, we got two classic Disney Halloween themed gateway horror movies, and the reason is not just because I love Disney, but 10 years ago I went to Walt Disney World, and who doesn't like Walt Disney World? I mean, yes, it costs an arm and a leg, but it is fun. It is magical. You get to live in these stories, and these attractions are just more than just a roller coaster. There's a story with it. But anyways, I am finally going back to Disney World. Very excited. I'm also doing the Mickey Not So Spooky Halloween Party. That's why I got all these Mickey Halloween decorations. I'm also going as something for the Halloween party. We're going to talk about that later throughout the night and about the party. So, anyways, we're talking about Disney World, Halloween movies, gateway horror, Disney movies, and planning a Walt Disney World vacation is very stressful. I think it's more stressful than defusing a bomb. Defusing a bomb, you got two wires, but planning a Disney trip, you got four parks you got to figure out. Disney Springs. If you're going to fly, take a boat, take a jet, take a car. You got to think about hotels, staying off property, staying on property, meal plan, not meal plan. It's really stressful. It's like doing homework. Like I know all you doctors out there that go to medical school, you say it's hard to do your homework and hard to do that. Trust me, that is nothing compared to planning a Disney trip. That is way more stressful than performing brain surgery. Anyways, planning a Disney trip is very fun, but it is stressful. It's even more stressful than a zombie apocalypse. It's even more stressful than two pretty young ladies knocking on the door and then you answer and then you make love in the hot tub and then the two girls are torturing you. Planning a Disney trip is more stressful than that. Alright, so let's get to the driving turtles, but let's switch hats. Put on a more appropriate hat with the tag still on, I guess. Let's take care of that. My wardrobe department did not do that. Okay. Okay, so let's get to the last driving because you can also watch Monster Inc. on Disney Plus. pause it when after when I'm talking about the movie. I'm gonna put the timer, interrupt the movie to talk about it. So let's get to the drive-in totals of Monster Inc. We got Blue Fuzzy Monster, Monster with multiple eyeballs, Monster with one eyeball, Spider-like six-eye Monster, one French reporter Monster, Slimy Monsters, Monster in the nude, one snake-like color-changing Monster, one Monster with snakes for hair, Hillbilly Shovel Beatdown, one adorable game of hide and seek, one painful slapstick fall on a pile of jacks, attempted kidnapping, attempted invisible choking, multiple roaring, multiple scaring, multiple screaming, energy crisis, corrupt workplace, gratuitous Nemo, gratuitous Toy Story, gratuitous Piece of Planet truck, gratuitous Pixar ball. We got Durafoo, Canister Foo, Laugh Foo, Machine that sucks the scream out of you Foo, Juicy Foo, Boo Foo, Plaza Dome Foo, and the Curse Monster Foo. Drive-In Academy Awards for John Goodman as James P. Solomon, the number one scarer who finds himself becoming a father figure. Billy Crystal as the one-eyed Mike Wazowski, who perfectly delivers lines like, "You and me and you, both of us together." And dodgeball was the best. Oh yeah, I was the fastest one out there. Of course, I was the ball. Jennifer Tilly as the Medusa-like monster for her cutesy nicknames for people like Googly Bear and Sully Wally. Steve Buscemi as the snake-like Randall for twisting a character arm in the way your arm should never be twisted. Mary Gibbs as the human little girl Boo for calling Sully Kitty. James Curran as Mr. Waternoose, the owner of Monster Inc., and who would do anything, and I mean anything, to keep his company afloat. Frank Oz as Fungus, Randall right-hand man. Bob Peterson as Woz for saying the most quotable line of the film. "I'm watching you, Will Crouchy, always watching you." Trust me, my brother-in-law does a great impersonation of Woz. Anyways, Randy Newman for his jazzy score and Oscar-winning song, "If I Didn't Have You." Pete Docter, the director and writer, for creating a movie that plays tribute to classic monsters of cinema past and doing it the drive-in raid. 4 stars. Britton says, check it out. Gateway horror. I have very experience with horror because I used to be afraid of horror. My sister used to put Nightmare on Elm Street films on. I would go under my bed because I have OCD and high anxiety, so I try to stay away from horror movies. But I have fond memories of getting introduced to horror movies. One of my experience was watching Ghostbusters, and because of my silly OCD, I thought the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man would come to my window and try to eat me. And so I would have to look out my window each night to make sure that the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man wasn't coming for me. So that's silly. But then, my other horror memory of watching horror movies is with my papa. He had a VHS player. We watched Predator, and at a young age, probably shouldn't be watching the 80 and blowing people's heads off. But that's just a very good memory of watching gateway horror and just, VHS. I mean, I love VHS. The rectangle things and you put them in. I'm getting off the trials right now. We should be getting to the movie. This is why I need Darcy the Malgur. I think Mike Kinsley the Malgur, I think he's sleeping on a job. Okay, so let's get to the movie. Okay, so we're in like 20 minutes into the movie so far, and we're seeing the world building, we're seeing the characters, we're seeing who Mike and Sully is. Sully is a very famous worker in the monster city of Metropolis. What do you think about the movie so far, Kinsley? Again, this is Kinsley. She's subbing in from, she is my Darcy the Malgur. What do you think about the movie so far? Thank you for your input. Anyways, that's one of the things that Pixar is amazing at. Pixar is very good. In every movie that you see that Pixar makes, they're really good at developing the world and just doing great world building. And this world where monsters live and monsters have to go to work and go into the human world and scare kids because the scares of kids powers energy for the cars, house, lights, and we see that there's an energy crisis right now and that they're not really doing good business at the company, and I really like how the movie is setting it up. Mike and Sully, they have a great dynamic. Mike is just this very good sidekick character that just steals the show. I love how he is so. If you were asked to see yourself on that commercial, even to have his face cut out, it's funny, but he still thinks that he's the star. And Sully, everybody loves him. People are jealous of him. He's a great skill, very dedicated to his work. So yeah, but to talk about this movie. Oh, also that slow motion scene when all the monsters are coming on the scare floor. And you just see that slow motion and all the different designs of the characters. Gives you goosebumps. Anyways, to talk about Monster Inc., we have to go back to the Pixar, to the history of Pixar. Now, we gotta go back to Pixar in the 79. 1979 was when Pixar started. And they started at Lucasfilm. You know, Lucasfilm, George Lucas, who created Star Wars. Pixar started as a computer division at Lucasfilm. Then years later, Pixar would begin to experiment with computer graphics and computer animations. And Steve Jobs, who is the founder of Apple, became a shareholder of the company. And he also later became a producer for Pixar's first movie, Toy Story. Yes, Pixar, when they started making animated shorts with 3D animation, kind of like how Walt Disney made short films with 2D animation. And John Lasseter, who was a kind of head of the Pixar at the time, him and his team of filmmakers decided to, why not make a phone-length 3D animated picture, and that was Toy Story. And Toy Story was a big gamble, just like when Walt Disney made Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Critics and people in the industry was like, you can't make a phone-length feature 3D animated movie. Well, Toy Story was a big risk, it was a big gamble, but it was a big payoff. It became one of the highest grossing movies of 1995. John Lasseter and Pixar won a special Oscar for the first 3D animated film. So after Toy Story, in the end of production for Toy Story, John Lasseter, one of the key people at Pixar, they had a luncheon, and they were talking about where do we go next? Where do Pixar go next? So near the production of Toy Story in 1994, there was a luncheon. John Lasseter, Pete Docter, Andrew Stanton, and John Wath attended the luncheon, and ideas were discussed about what movies to make next. Some of these ideas would later turn into hit Pixar films like A Bug's Life, Finding Nemo, and WALL-E. Pete Docter, who was one of the writers on Toy Story, came up with a concept about a film about monsters. And while others became focused in 1996 to make Pixar's second movie, A Bug's Life, Docter and other people were putting their focus on what was going to be Monster Inc. So Docter's original idea featured a 30-year-old man dealing with monsters that he drew in a book as a child, and these monsters were coming back in his life, and he had to deal with it. But this idea was scrapped as Docter reworked the movie as a buddy film between a monster and a child. And he took inspiration from a 1970 movie, Paper Moon, when a wise adult that's an older adult who should be wiser is paired with a kid who is more wiser than that adult. So he took that and he worked it with Monster Inc. And the characters really went through many designs and changes. Sully was not even named Sully, and he wasn't even blue. His name was Johnson, and he had tentacles and glasses on. But the animators found the tentacles to be distracting when he moved on the screen. So those movements of him with tentacles distracted audience. So Sully's first name was changed. It started with Johnson. Also, another character who had a different name was Boo, the cute little kid who says Kitty. Her name was actually Mary in the early drafts of the script. And her age went from different stages and different ages. She was the age of 7, but the filmmakers decided to change her to the age of 3, as 3-year-olds are very interactive, have this high energy. And in the movie, you just see Boo running around the sushi store. You just see Boo running around and just playing hide and go seek with Sully. And she just has a lot of energy, and she just talks a lot of gibberish in the movie like a 3-year-old does. And I really like how they pick a 3-year-old because this 3-year-old is very much wiser than all the grown-up monsters in the movie. Sully's sidekick, Mike, a very funny character, was not even in the early drafts of the movie. So when the film was being developed at Pixar, it had the code name Hidden City. And Hidden City was the name of Pete Docter, the director and writer of the film, favorite restaurant in Point Richmond. And Monster Inc. at that time was not even titled Monster Inc. yet. And Joe Grant, an animator who worked on the very first animated film and very first Disney animated film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, he suggested the title Monster Inc. as a play on the title of a gangster film named Murder Inc. So, and like I said before, Doctor really liked the buddy movie. You know, this is very much like a buddy movie, kind of like it kind of reminds me of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles a little bit. Other buddy movies you can see in inspiration to Monster Inc. And again, Pete Docter really enjoyed the 1973 film Paper Moon when you're just having a grown-up character and pairing it with a much younger character. All right, so we're gonna get back to the movie. And right now we're going to see what Mike and Sully and Boo are up to. I do have a question though. What the heck is Brat Summer? And why is it over? Madison, do you know Madison's my camera girl? Is he kind of like Austin Jennings, who is a director and Joe Bob cameraman? But what the heck is Brat Summer? She doesn't want her voice to be heard. But can somebody tell me what Brat Summer is? I think it has to do with a pop singer, right? And she said Brat Summer is over. I, I don't know what Brat Summer is, so I'm just going to stick to the things I know: cinema, movie, and the drive-in. Okay, let's get back to the movie. So let's talk about some of the tributes to famous classic movie monsters in this movie. There is a lot. There's a lot of monsters in here that really resemble famous monsters. You got that little slimy monster that falls into the gutter because he's made out of slime. It kind of reminds me of the Blob monster from the famous 50 movie with Steve McQueen, the Blob. You also got that big giant dinosaur monster when Mike and Sully are walking, crossing the street, and they say hello to the monster. It kind of resembles those big Kuju monsters like Godzilla or King Kong. So I really like that, and I really like all these different monster designs. It's kind of like when you're a kid, you're scared that there might be a monster underneath your bed, so your mind just thinks of all these different colors and designs and how big the monster are and the different sizes of the monster. So I really love the just creativity and just the way this movie really captured that fear and capture that imagination how we thought when we were kids things went bump in the night. So also, you know that sushi place, talk about a bad dinner date. Mike having to run out on his girlfriend because Boo and everything is just happening. But I really like that sushi place. I like how there's an octopus doing the sushi. It's funny because sushi, you know, seafood or octopus, seafood. It's funny. Then you got that monster who's eating, but he has a tapeworm in his mouth that eats the food for him. Very creative, very funny. And that restaurant is called Harryhauser, and that's the restaurant that makes Mike takes his girlfriend Celia to. It's a reference to Ray Harryhauser, and he is known for creating some of the great monsters in cinema. He is a special effect artist who really used stop motion effects, stop motion animation, and he really used it to create some of the greatest effects in movie history. He brought Medusa and the Kraken to life in Crash of the Titans. He created the early movie dinosaur effects in the Valley of Jinimana, and he is known for his work on the Clydesopes that appear in the seventh voyage of Sinbad. He created a lot of effects. He created a lot of different creatures and monsters in cinema. And that octopus, the sushi octopus, is a reference to an octopus effect that he created for the monster film It Came Beneath the Sea. So the animation in this movie, Pixar is always good with animation, and I love the colors, I love the texture, I love how they're able to use computers and 3D animation to make it look more realistic and to make it feel more. And that's what I love about animation. I love how you can be very expressive. You know, when you're an actor, you can be very expressive, but there's only so far your face can go to smile or be sad till your face rips apart. And so in animation, you can be really expressive, you can be so expressive that it looks and feels very real, and that's why I love animation. And the animation and technology in this film is very, very impressive. I believe this was the fourth Pixar film, and it just has beautiful animation. And the movie was in production for 5 years. So the animation took 5 years, and you can really see in the technology in the monster. And when Pixar was making this movie, Disney approached them and said, "We do not want the monsters to look like a guy in a suit." And you can really see these monsters don't look like a guy in a suit. They really look like breathing, living creatures. And this movie took a lot of animators. In it, speaking of monster, Kinsley the Malgur is here. Anyways, as many as 120 animators work on a single Pixar film. And production was very different on this film, as every main character had their own animator. Usually, when you have animated movies, you have many animators working on the same character. But for Monster Inc., you had an animator assigned to each character. And that really works because each character feels like their own living thing. And Sully was supposed to have tentacles. And again, the animators found the movements to be distracting. And Sully Fur, that was the hardest thing to animate. And I really like it. I like when he moves and runs or jumps. The fur moves, because when we jump, our fur, our hair moves too, so it looks really realistic. But the fur was very hard to animate, and it was very hard for the animators to make it move naturally. Sully, listen to this. Sully had 2,320 413 here. I'm not good at numbers, but that's a very, very big number, and he had that many individual hairs on him. So they had to do different foot tests to see how they can animate the hair. So the first foot test was not successful, as Sully Fur got caught on objects, and the objects would stretch out his hair due to the extreme amount of character movement. So Pixar set up a simulation department and created a new fur simulated program called Fritz. And Fritz allowed the fur to react in a more natural way. And that really is really cool in this movie. Now, another challenge was all the doors in the movie. All the doors are very different. They're very colorful. Each one has a different design, different size, different shape. And there was 23 billion doors in this movie. And they would create one door, a flat rectangle that resembled paper, and then they would duplicate it hundreds of times and render it to look like a door. And that is just amazing because you have all these doors in one frame of a movie. So each animator has to work on it. And when we get to the end of the movie, when Mike and Sully are trying to get Boo Door through, and all these other doors are just flying, you can just see the dedication and the animation and how each door is just very wonderfully designed. Now, speaking about all this, you have to have somebody in charge who oversees production, and that is director Pete Docter. And this was Pete Docter's first feature-length director effort at Pixar. And Pete Docter was one of the early guys at Pixar, and he was from the very start. He worked on production for Toy Story, and he started at Pixar in the early age of 21. And he was one of the screenwriters for Toy Story, like I said, and he would go on to direct many other Pixar movies from up, which was nominated for Best Picture, not just animated picture, but Best Picture, becoming the second animated movie to be nominated in Oscar history. He also directed Inside Out and Soul, and he also just produced Inside Out 2, which is the highest grossing movie of 2024 so far. And after John Lasseter stepped down, Pete Docter now is the CCO of Pixar, and we are getting all these great Pixar movies. So, very great director effort. And so, we're going to get back to the movie. Boo is causing chaos. All the monsters are having this big OCD thinking that germs are caused by humans and humans are toxic. And now we see that Monster Inc. company is once again being in the news and is falling apart. So let's get back to the movie. Um, Kinsley, you got anything to add? Lights. Well, it might be time to hire a new Malgur. So we now know what Randall's plan is. Not only does he want to be the top scaler, but because there is an energy crisis, because the workplace Monster Inc. is not having its quotas and getting enough screams from kids, Randall has invented this machine that sucks the screams out of kids. And thank you, Kinsley. But yes, we see what happened to Fungus. When Fungus gets the scream sucked out of him, he's all pale and white. And we just seen their themes about the corrupt workplace and energy crisis, and how Pixar is just able to talk about these grown-up themes but still make a movie that is just really imaginative to all ages. And I really like that part when Mike Wazowski, when Mike, he's in the chair and he's talking to Fungus and he's saying, Fungus, get me out of here. I got a new car. I'll give you a ride. I think that's hilarious, because when you're ghost racing for your life, you should give that person a car, not just offer them a ride. But anyways, it's just great writing, great character relations, and the great thing about animation characters is not only does the animation and the color have to do a good job of making that character feel real, but you also need good actors to make them sound real. And this movie has a great cast. And let's talk about the cast. We got John Goodman as James P. Sullivan. So the animators, the beer's getting excited because we're getting to the good part about the movie. But anyway, James P. Sullivan is played by John Goodman, and animators had talked about how Sully is kind of like the VIP of football, and they kind of animate him like a football player and write him like he's the all-star of the team, and you need a larger-than-life performer, and that's why John Goodman is the voice of Sully. Now, Bill Murray, who is known for Ghostbusters and Groundhog Day, he was offered for the role, for the part of Sully, but contracts didn't go through, so we got John Goodman. But John Goodman is really good in this role, and many people would know John Goodman from his sitcom role in Roseanne. He's also in the Roseanne sequel series, The Connors. John Goodman also is, for horror people, mutant, this audience will know him. He's in 2 hit horror films. He's in Joe Dante, the director of Piranha and Gremlins, Manatee, and in that movie he kind of plays like a B-movie filmmaker who makes these gimmicky films. You know how we have films today when you can watch 3D or 4D. He kind of play a filmmaker that make movies kind of like that. He's also played in Disney Hollywood Pictures' first movie. Disney wanted to make more movies for adult audience, so they made a film label called Hollywood Pictures, kind of like Touchstone Pictures. And John Goodman played the role of the exterminator in the spider horror comedy Arachnophobia. Now, if you don't like spiders, maybe stay away from that movie. But it's funny. John Goodman's good in it, and Jeff Daniels also plays the part in that movie as well. John Goodman, he also known for his role in the Coen Brothers movies. He had a great role with Jeff Bridges in The Big Lebowski. And also, John Goodman continued to do more voice acting. He played the part of Baloo the Bear in The Jungle Book 2. He also had a role in The Emperor New Groove. So yeah, John Goodman is just a really good actor, really brings his voice and personality here. We also got Mike. Now, Mike is just a really lively character, very funny, very full of himself, very energetic, and you need a really good actor to play that role. And we got Billy Crystal. Now, a lot of people are going to know Billy Crystal as he hosts the Oscars 9 times. He is the second person to host the most Oscars. I mean, Bob Hope is known for hosting the most Oscars, but Billy Crystal, known for singing on the stage and doing the Oscar melody, singing, "What a wonderful night for Oscars, hooray!" Great Oscar host. He needs to come back to host the Oscars. Anyways, Billy Crystal was offered the role of Buzz Lightyear in the first Pixar movie, Toy Story, but he didn't take it, as he didn't know that he knew that Toy Story was a big risk, and he didn't know if he should take that risk. And for a man who had decades of career, to this day, he regrets not taking the role of Buzz Lightyear. And that just says a lot about animation, because a lot of people think animation is for kids. It is not. You can do so much with animation that you cannot do with live action, and it is sad that people put this art form down. You can tell so many themes to all audience in animation. Sometimes you can't do that in live action. And without animation, you only have films like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, or CGI, or special effects like that. So animation is just really a different kind of art form that stories sometimes need. And Monster Inc., if you had it in live action, it wouldn't feel real. But with using 3D computer animation that Pixar can do, it looks and feel real. So Billy Crystal also Was in a lot of Juan Reiner movies. He was in When Harry Met Sally, that famous scene, I'll have what she's having, you know, in the diner, you know what scene I'm talking about. He also had a small but memorable role in The Princess Bride. That movie is 40 years old, so I'm sorry if I'm making any of the audience members feel like they're old. Mary Poppins 60, so I don't know if we got any 60 years olds in the audience. Anyways, so yes, Billy Crystal also starred in the comedy versions of Alfred Hitchcock, Strangers on the Train. He starred in the movie directed by Danny DeVito, Danny DeVito was also in that movie. It was called Throw Mama from the Train. And it's a very funny movie. So yeah, Billy Crystal was in that movie. We also got Jennifer Tilly as Mike's girlfriend, Scylla. She is most mutant audience, her audience, will know her as the voice of Tiffany Valentine, Chucky girlfriend, the killer doll that loves the other killer doll. And she does the voice for that. She first appeared in that character in The Bride of Chucky. She is still playing that character today in the hit USA sci-fi original show Chucky. Phenomenal show. Check it out. The best the Child Play series has ever been. Anyways, she earned acclaim for her role in Bond. That was the first film directed by the Wachowski siblings. They would later create the Matrix films. Jennifer Tilly is also a professional poker player as well, which I think is funny. I think it's cool how actors just aren't good actors, but they also have different hobbies and passion. I think that's cool. She also mentioned, because we got Family Guy audience members in here, she also plays the character Bonnie in Family Guy, so she's a good voice actor too. One of my other favorite villains in Pixar is Randall. I love how Randall just gets in his way. You know, he's jealous, he has a hot temper, he gets angry fast, and Steve Buscemi just really plays an entertaining villain. And I just love Steve Buscemi. He's a great character actor. He loves to act. He makes every role that he has just very fun. And he also had a breakout role in Quentin Tarantino's first movie, Reservoir Dogs. Steve Buscemi also have starred in many Adam Sandler movies. So if you've seen any Adam Sandler movies, you can see Steve Buscemi. He plays in movies like Mr. Deeds, Grown Ups, Billy Madison, The Wedding Singer, and so on. He also had great success in drama. In 2004, he joined the cast of HBO The Sopranos, a phenomenal show that is still talked about today. He also got acclaim and 2 Emmy nominations for his role in HBO Boardwalk Empire. We got to talk about Fungus, Randall Right-Hand Man. And Fungus is played by Frank Oz. And I don't think I have to talk about Frank Oz, but I am. Frank Oz is known for being a Muppeteer and working with Jim Henson. He brought characters to life like Yoda from Star Wars, Animal, Miss Piggy, Cookie Monster, Fozzie Bear, Bert, Grover, Sam the Eagle, and so many more. He also directed, her audience would know him, he directed the musical remake of Roger Corman film, The Little Shop of Horror, a personal favorite of mine. And Frank Oz, at 80 years old, he finally this year got the Disney Legend Award for his career and for his work and for what he did in the Disney company. So, bravo, Mr. Frank Oz. Then we got Bob Peterson as Woz. It's very funny. Bob Peterson plays Woz, a very quotable character. You will also know Bob Peterson as he plays the voice of Doug in another Pete Docter directed movie, Up. Then we gotta talk about Boo. Boo is cute. Boo is just an energetic character, and she is voiced by Mary Gibbs. Mary Gibbs was very young. She was a kid at the time she was casting this role, and as you know, kids, they're very energetic, and she wasn't very focused, and the voice directors and voice recorders found it very difficult to get her to stand in the voice recording booth to record her lines. So they followed her with microphones when she would go around the halls of the company in the studio buildings, and they will film her lines when she's playing with her toys. And it feels very organic in the final product. It feels like what a 3-year-old would talk about and say, and that just really feels very real and very natural. So good casting, great casting in this film. So now, Mike and Sully found out what Randall was doing, and now they're on the run. Will they tell Mr. Watterson what's going on, or will Randall get to them before? Let's find out. Back to the movie. I got this dog, you already saw Kinsley the Malgur. I watched Donnie Darko this year with The Last Drive-In. Phenomenal movie. I think I know what it's about. I probably don't know what it's about because it's that movie where you think you know what it is about, and you're probably right, but you're probably wrong. Just phenomenal movie. But there's this character called Frank. He's a bunny suit. He's a guy in a bunny suit, and he gives people mind messages to flood the school and to burn Patrick Swayze's house down. And he's just really chaotic. And you saw Kinsley, my dog. Well, after that movie, I gave Kinsley the nickname of Frank. So her phone name is Kinsley Frank, and then my last name, Picarsi. I just think it's funny. That's my Frank over there. Because sometimes I think Kinsley tells me to flood the school or flood my workplace. And that's what Frank does. Okay, anyways, let's get back to the movie. So, we are getting to the conclusion of the movie. But before we get to the conclusion of the movie, just wanted to interrupt one more time. Thank you for your patience. I know it might be a hassle to interrupt the movie, but it's fun. You get some education about the movie, and you get to enjoy it a little bit more and appreciate the filmmaking qualities of it. Anyways, John Ratzenberger, he plays the Abominable Snowman. And the Abominable Snowman is based on the Bumble from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So again, we got Monster Inc. playing tribute to these classic movie monsters of the past. So yeah, John Ratzenberger, he's in almost every Pixar movie. He's kind of like a good luck charm for Pixar, because he played the voice of Ham, the piggy bank, in the first Toy Story movie. So I just thought point that out. Anyways, I love this jazzy score in this movie. I love how the score really gets your emotions going and really grasps you and gets you into this war, into this Monsterville war. And the score comes from no other than Mr. Randy Newman. And Monster Inc. was the fourth Pixar movie he worked on. Randy Newman has been a songwriter for a long, long time, writing songs for many movies. He wrote songs and he did the score for Toy Story, Toy Story 2, A Bug's Life. He also did the music for Cars films. I know I got car lovers out here in the audience. I love Cars 2, Lightning McQueen, number 95, Life is a Highway. Anyways, Randy Newman has been nominated for many Oscars up to his work on Monster Inc. He was nominated for writing the song You Got a Friend in Me and many other songs. But with the song If I Didn't Have You, Randy Newman finally won his first Oscar. He was also nominated that year for Best Original Score. And Newman, he would go on to win another Oscar for Toy Story 3 for the song We Belong Together. So let's talk about Monster Inc. really quick. Monster Inc. was a huge success. Another huge success for Pixar. It made 579 point. I'm not really good at numbers, so hold on. It made 579,000.7 million on a 115 million budget. So that's really cool. And it was the third highest grossing movie of 2001. And in 2001, you had Lord of the Rings coming out. So that's amazing that Monster Inc. was able to be number 3 on the box office. It also was one of the first 3 films to be nominated for the new category at the Oscars, Best Animated Film. It was nominated alongside Shrek and Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. That year, however, Shrek won the award, but Monster Inc. still has that honor of being one of the first animated movies to be nominated in that category. And if you go up to a lot of people on the street, tell them to write their favorite 5 Pixar movies, chances are you're gonna hear Monster Inc. Because this has a lot of fans. This was nominated for a lot of awards for best sound editing, and this film even inspired a short film called Mike New Car. It was created for the VHS release. And for those of you who don't know what a VHS is, it's a rectangle thing that you used to put in the TV. Anyways, a prequel was released in 2013 called Monster University. It was about Mike and Sully going to college, meeting each other. It was not directed by Pete Docter, but it is a fun movie. A hit show is also made, a sequel series called Monsters at Work. It's in its 2nd season right now on Disney+. But tonight we're also talking about Walt Disney World and the parks. And Monster Inc. has a strong presence at the parks. Now, Walt Disney World in Tomorrowland, you got Monster Inc. Laughter. That's an invented activity where you got motion capture actors pretending to be the monsters and they tell you jokes. During the Halloween party, Mickey Not So Scary Halloween Party, it's re-themed and the monsters tell Halloween jokes. You can also trick or treat at that spot too. That I'm looking forward to that. Now Tokyo Disneyland, uh, you got Monster Inc. Ride and Go Seek. You hop into a vehicle, you go through the town of the monsters, and you play hide go seek. It's really cool. It uses a trackless ride system, and it costs 10 billion yen in for Tokyo Disneyland. And you use your flashlight to hit different characters, and it's considered to be one of the best rides, not just at Disneyland Tokyo, but at any Disney park. So one day when I go to Tokyo, I'm gonna definitely go there. My sister and her brother, her fiance, my brother-in-law, they're learning Japanese, so I'm expecting them to take me to Tokyo Disneyland one day. Anyways, we got some great news about Monster Inc. Land is coming to Disney World Hollywood Studios. They're going to rebuild the Monster City, and we also are getting a door coaster based on that scene when they go through all the doors. And it's going to be the first suspended roller coaster at a Disney park. So that's something to look forward to. Okay, so every Pixar movie used to expect to feel emotion or cry and have the flood come down your eyes. That's what Pixar does. And we haven't got that moment yet. But you can bet your daughter Bill that we are about to let our eyes cry. So grab your tissues and get ready for the emotional, thrilling, funny, heartwarming conclusion of Monster Inc. We're on. Um, what a what a great ending to Monster Inc. Uh, Sally thinks he will never be able to see Boo again, and we see that Mr. Water News is getting arrested and that the company might flop, but we find out that laughter is 100 or 1,000 times powerful than scaring. And I like that theme because the whole movie is basically about like the energy crisis and how sometimes companies can be corrupt and how there are other ways to get a task done or provide energy. Like not to be political, but I know we need oil for cars, but I do think there are well, we can still get the oil. I think oil companies and gas companies can find other ways that doesn't damage the earth and damage people's homes that can give us energy. We still need oil, but there are other ways to look for energy too. We'll still provide oil. So I really like how Monster Inc. talks about these themes, but I really love the connection of Mike and Sully and Boo, and I love how at the end you see how Mike is still that great friend. He goes through getting splinters on his hand to rebuild the door, and just you see Sully goes into the door and it's nice and quiet, and you see his face. He's excited to see Boo, but he doesn't know if it's going to work. And then all of a sudden, Boo says Kitty, his face smile, the camera cuts black. I just awesome because you don't need to see them reuniting. That's their private moment. That's for them to share. It's for us to just use our imagination to see how that reunion is going to be. And it's just a really heart tugging emotion and heart tugging scene. And Pixar does really great with that emotion. So yes, Ink still is up there as one of Pixar best. It still is a great movie that pays tribute to all these different kind of monsters we've seen in cinema past. And yeah, so that's all for Monster Inc. But stay tuned because we got our second movie coming out. So get your bearings back because when you come back, we got another movie. And this is Britton Precaution reminding you to never put a fork in a microwave and the drive-in will never die.